Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this one. Today we're going to look at a very familiar phrase, but we're putting it under a highly analytical lens. We're taking 5 simple words and unpacking them, not as some abstract philosophical puzzle, but as the literal bedrock of 3 decades of actuarial planning and risk assessment. Over 30 years of analyzing disasters, system failures, and financial losses, they all point right back to this exact framework. So we're going to set a deliberate, focused pace today. We'll examine how we allocate resources, the true nature of probability, and the hidden mathematical brilliance inside a very common proverb.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Prevention. I want us to just pause for a second here and really let the sheer weight and preemptive nature of this single word sink in. In the context of risk management, this isn't just a vocabulary word, right? It's a calculated, proactive investment of resources. It implies foresight, having agency, and using data to totally neutralize a threat before it ever even hits the timeline. It's the very concept of looking ahead, reading the blueprints of a potential failure, and deciding, hey, I'm going to deploy my capital and energy up front to make sure that negative outcome literally never materializes.
And sitting directly across from it, we have the concept of cure. Drawing on 30 years of actuarial and risk management expertise, we see a really stark conceptual contrast here. Think about it. If prevention is about looking forward and controlling the variables, well, a cure is a state of forced deficit and damage control. It is entirely tethered to the fact that a problem already exists. A cure is exactly what happens when your risk models fail or when preventative measures are just totally ignored, and suddenly you're forced to spend exponential capital just to try and claw your way back to your baseline.
Part 1. Defining prevention, the proactive stance.
So what does this actually look like? Prevention is action taken before an occurrence. The entire essence of this concept relies heavily on its timeline. It absolutely must happen prior to the event. From an actuarial perspective, prevention is all about calculating probabilities and making the smartest, most cost-effective decision possible. You're spending a known, manageable amount of resources, time, effort, funding, on a risk that hasn't even materialized yet. And the really fascinating thing about successful prevention, it's completely quiet. No headlines are ever made when a bridge doesn't collapse because of preventative maintenance, right? It's an unseen victory. But statistically and financially, it is absolutely the highest yield move you can possibly make in any system.
Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. The nature of cure, the reactive response.
Cure is the resolution required after an occurrence. Now, unlike prevention, which is a choice you make in a state of relative calm and stability, a cure represents a realized loss. The damage has been done, the structure has failed, and the negative event is officially on the books. In risk assessment, the cost of a cure is almost never a straight linear line. No, it compounds. You aren't just paying to fix the immediate problem. You're paying for the operational downtime, the collateral damage, the emergency response, and the total disruption of momentum. It is an incredibly heavy, inefficient lift just to get yourself back to square one.
And that brings us to Part 3, weighing the balance. The axiom.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we have proactive effort weighed directly against reactive necessity. And right there in the middle is the evaluating phrase, is better than. But why is that a mathematical certainty in risk assessment? Well, the source doesn't just suggest prevention is easier. It asserts a strict, non-negotiable hierarchy of value. It definitively states that the fractional cost of proactive mitigation, things like insurance policies, routine maintenance, early detection systems, possesses a far higher intrinsic value than the catastrophic cost of reactive necessity. It's the empirical reality that an ounce of upfront investment prevents a compounded pound of reactive spending.
So, the crucial point is this complete statement: prevention is better than cure. After 3 decades of analyzing exactly where systems break down and where catastrophic financial and operational losses occur, this simple 5-word axiom remains the ultimate, absolute truth of risk management. It's not just some quaint saying, it's an empirical, totally data-backed reality. It outlines a complete framework for risk, for time management, and energy preservation. It proves time and time again that stopping the domino from falling in the first place is infinitely superior to paying the massive premium of trying to glue all the pieces back together.
So what does this all mean for us? It's not just a passive observation. It's honestly a mirror for how we allocate our own resources. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to really challenge your own behavioral patterns. Look at the systems in your own life, your work, your personal projects, your daily routines, and audit your own risk models. Are you deliberately investing in the cheap, proactive effort of prevention today, or are you passively waiting, kind of just bracing to pay the exponential tax of a cure tomorrow?
The data gives us the answer key, but it's totally up to us how we apply it. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this deep dive helps you look at your next actions with just a little more analytical foresight.